Hey everybody, welcome to Grimm's Forge Gaming. Today I'm going to give you an update to our Wonder Woman build. This is a Magplar, so Magicka Templar, and this is going to be an update to her build, and we're just updating the God Killer build, and so this is going to be God Killer 3.0. Let's jump right into the build. So we made just a couple minor changes. The reason being is the God Killer build 2.0 is extremely strong, and both in magic recovery and spell damage and in resistances. It can fight outnumbered, and it can fight outnumbered for a long time, and I just really liked where the build was at, okay? And if you know how to budget your resources, even though we've got great spell recoveries, if you know how to budget your resources, you can just maintain long fights, and that's great. So jumping right in, first thing that we've added to this build is going to be Malacath's band. Reason being is on the previous iteration of the build we were running 5 heavy 2 light, and the 5 heavy 2 light situation, or if you were to run 7 heavy, when you're running 5 or 7 heavy, you don't have access to a lot of crit damage anyways, right? And I went back and I reviewed the footage from her old BGs, reviewed the old build, and then just started testing to see what else was out there, and I could not put anything together that could compare to the God Killer 2.0. But I could nip and tuck it a little bit to make it even more effective. And so after reviewing the tape, we saw that probably 1 in 6 of her puncturing sweeps was a crit, and if you were to just add that additional crit damage up, it wasn't enough to justify not running Malacath's band. And so that's what we've done. We've added Malacath's band to the build. You can see that it's an infused trait on there, so we have additional spell damage, and that down at the bottom, increase your damage done by 25% across the board. And I can tell you that 3400 spell damage is pretty respectable on a Magplar, the way the damage lines up and the fact that we're adding 20, especially for a heavy armor Magplar. You can run more, but then you start at the expense of becoming more squishy. We're at cap resistances on this build, 3400 spell damage, and add another 25% damage on top of that. So she can fight, okay? So Malacath's band, we add that. Now when you add a mythic item to your build, it can break up your monster set, and so that's what we did. Made a lot of sense too. Previous iteration of the build we were running Grothdar, and I went and looked at Grothdar. We were running Grothdar because of the additional pressure that it brought, just AoE damage going out, but when I went and I looked at the video, that damage didn't equate to, it wasn't something that was substantial. Most of the fights were very quick fights, 1v1, and they get killed down before Grothdar even brought enough to the table to justify having it. And so that made it easy to get rid of Grothdar, and kind of confirmed going Malacath would be a better plan. Why not increase all your damage by 25% instead of waiting for the 1 in 6 time where you're going to do crit damage, and then the minimal pressure that Grothdar was bringing. So that's what we did. So we broke up our monster set. Right now I am running Malachina and a heavy. This current build right now is a 6 heavy 1 light. 6 heavy 1 light. You could run 5 heavy 2 light again, and that would just be switching a couple things around, but right now this is what we're running. Now this slot right here, the helm slot, if you run this build exactly the way I got right now, this could be whatever monster set you want, or you could run Armor of the Trainee for additional health, and that might be a smart way to go because we do have a couple abilities that scale off max health. But anyways, I'm just running Malachina. Real simple, multi-effect enchantment on it. It's divines. I guess that's fine. If I could have run Impen on it, that would have been great too. And then we've got additional spell damage there. So we gained a little bit of spell damage from our first iteration of the build, and we gained a flat 25% additional damage across the board on this build, and so that's great. Next set that we are running is Eternal Vigor, and this set is impressive. It's pretty much a staple for a lot of people, meta for a lot of different builds right now, and I really like it on my Wonder Woman. It's going to give you magic recovery, stamina recovery, health recovery, and then max health. And so this is a sustain type set, and then it's especially sustain type set when you look at the 5-piece. Adds 337 stamina and Magicka recovery while over 50% health, and adds 1011 health recovery while under 50% health. And so when we jump into the stats on this build, you're going to see that we're very recovery heavy on it. And man, it's just a freaking beast of a build. It really is. And so I can't put anything together better than this right now, and I've tried. That is hitting cap resistances, is hitting the damage output that this is hitting, and has a survivability, durability that this has. I just can't. And you can make an argument for other builds, and that's fine. I'm telling you, with my field experience, this is where it's at for Wonder Woman. So Eternal Vigor, and you can see we've got the multi-effect enchantments on that, so prismatic enchants on everything, and we're running in pen on this stuff. The next set that we are running is going to be Amber Plasm, and we've got two jewelry pieces. Both of them are infused with spell damage, so we got spell damage infused across the board. And if you look at Amber Plasm, you can get this from Runes of Mazatoon, and the 2-piece is max Magicka, good. 3-piece is lost, spell critical. We don't get that at all unless it comes in the form of healing, which we do get even with Malacath's ban. We can crit heal. We just cannot do critical damage. And then we've got a line on the 4-piece for spell damage, and then look at all those recoveries. That recovery right there, 273 Magicka stamina and health stacked on top of the recoveries from Eternal Vigor, puts us very recovery heavy based. So that's the winning recipe right now. Is we're not short on damage, we're not short on defenses, and we have recovery for days. So it's been working out really well. Another thing too to add to the additional damage output and health coming in is we're running the Drain Health Poisons. So it's basically a dot poison that also returns health to you every over 4 seconds. So basically every second for 4 seconds we've got health coming in just from doing our rotation on top of what our puncturing sweeps is going to heal us on. So as stated in the first build, we're running sword and board on our back bar. This is more from a thematic situation. You know, Wonder Woman has her sword and shield, okay? And so anyways, you don't need to run sword and board on the back bar if you don't want to. I can tell you that we're near 40k resistances on our back bar, which is great, because if somebody hits us with a pierce armor and it strips 9k resistances, we're still, you know, near cap resistances. We're still very beefy. So that's nice. Also, because we have a cleanse in our kit, we can drop that stuff off of us. We are running a lightning Destro staff as our primary offensive bar, and I've explained this in the previous iteration of the build, that the lightning staff is probably the best way to go for puncturing sweeps. Lightning staffs, when you go and you look at them, they buff, where is it? Right here. Equip lightning staff, increase your damage done with area effect abilities by 8%. And this is proven that puncturing sweeps is considered an AoE, area of effect. Now it also falls in direct damage, so it's an area of effect, direct damage. Okay, so that's important to know when you're applying your CP points and you're trying to get the most damage out of the build. I have not changed the CP from the first build, but we will go through that. But this right here means that we're getting 8% additional damage just by running the staff on the back bar here, and or our front bar. And what we're going to do at the end of the build here, right after CP, I'm going to run to the armor station and go through what armor sets we're running to get Wonder Woman to actually look like Wonder Woman. Okay, so anyways, those are the sets we're running. You can see we put a light Amber Plasm piece in the shoulder when we broke up our monster set, and that completed our 5-piece, and then we've got 5 heavy here. So you can see 6 heavy, 1 light, and if you wanted to make this light, you could. You're gonna lose a little bit in the resistance category, And but when considering we're over cap, you might be able to afford to do that. That's really up to you. Malacath's banned an additional 25% damage. We weren't critting hardly at all anyways. We might as well get the damage. Now, if you want to double down on healing coming in on the build, you could put the Pale Order ring here. And the Pale Order will basically, all the damage that you're doing or all outgoing damage, you've got heals coming in from it, a percentage of that. And so that would make you very hard to kill as long as you're sustaining your damage or sustaining your resources. And it's not hard to sustain your resources on this build, let me tell you. So Pale Order could be a way to go. You could even run Ring of the Wild Hunt. If you want to be very fast and very tanky and recovery's very high, you know, you can pretty much put whatever you want. Right now we're running Malacath for that additional 25% damage bite. So let's look at the abilities buffed here. We're going to look at our back bar here, standing in our rune. You can see our resistance is 39,000, 36,000, okay? And then you can see our recoveries, 1960, 1999, and 1899. That's really good. Also, our magic recovery goes better than that. That was with a potion popped, okay? Basically, we're sitting with a potion popped almost at 2K across the board. On our recoveries. A couple other things that buff up our magic recovery is this. On our front bar, we are running Elemental Drain because we're using a Destro staff. And you can see down at the bottom there it says it applies minor Magicka steal to an enemy for 23 seconds, causing you and your allies to restore 168 Magicka every 1 second when damaging them. The important thing to know about that, 178 magic every 1 second, well, recoveries are set up or based on a 2-second increment, so that ends up being 336 additional recovery. I just make sure I get it on a target. It's smart to put it on target too because you can see it applies Major Breach, which is going to strip them of almost 6k resistances. So, and it's a free ability. So hit your target with it, jump in and go ham. Another way that we're buffing our magic recovery is going to be channeled focus. And you can see this is our armor buff. That's great. And you can see at the bottom, standing in your rune, you get increased physical resistances and spell resistances by 50%. So if we need to tank down, I need to switch my back bar, I need to block cast and reapply my buffs. I want to try and do that standing in my rune. That's where we're going to be the strongest. I could go into the kite game, and that's a possibility too, but she's so darn beefy that just tanking down sometimes, block casting, reapplying our buffs on the back bar, and then switching the front bar and going works just fine. But you could see that first paragraph there right at the end, you also recover 240 magic every 1 second. And again, because magic recovery is based on 2-second increments, that ends up equating to 480 magic recovery additionally. So as long as I have my defensive rune down and I have Elemental Drain on the target, I've got over 800 additional magic recovery coming in. So you add that 800 additional magic recovery on top of what you saw, the 1961 magic recovery base that we have, and that puts us at over 2,700 magic recovery on this build. 2,700 magic recovery. And just as a reference point, sweeps, I can tell you, as long as you have roughly 1,700 magic recovery, you can basically do a light attack sweep almost indefinitely. Okay, as long as you're using a Destro staff, you know, and just putting gas back in tank for Magicka. 1,700's the breaking point. I main Magplar for the longest time. My Spartan was a Magplar initially, and I switched him over to Templar since Wonder Woman was coming in at the Magplar spot. So Spartan Unleashed is my stamina Templar, and she's my Magplar. So anyways, 1,700 magic recovery will allow you to basically puncturing sweep, light attack, puncturing sweep, light attack indefinitely, okay? And that's important to know. So 2,700 magic recovery means that we have a net gain coming in, right? We'll be gaining Magicka while we're fighting, unless it gets really hectic and reapplying buffs and all that other stuff. But it's very easy to maintain this build in fights, trust me. So that's important to know. Another thing too about this is our health recovery. So our base health recovery, when we go back and look at this, when we pop a potion, our health recovery, because of the way things are working right now, our health recovery goes up to 1999. Yeah, 2k health recovery. And because Eternal Vigor, the way it works, you can see that if we drop under 50% health, we gain another 1011 health recovery. So that means we have over 3000 health recovery under 50% health. 3,000 health recovery. Every 2 seconds we got a free 3,000 coming in. And we're a Magplar, so our sweeps are healing us as we're doing damage. Plus we've got a burst heal in the kit, and we've got our ritual that we're standing in, ritual retribution. Now I would switch this one over. Retribution does a little bit of damage. I'll probably switch this over to the other one that does more cleansing, but I had it on this one. So but anyways, we do have healing coming in from the other one, and that will be great. So spell damage on this build, once we use on our back bar degeneration, you can see at the bottom, excess magic spills out from them, granting you major sorcery. So you gain an extra 20% spell damage for 20 seconds. So that's good. Does a little bit of dot damage too, so there's pressure there. And you can find this, I'm still leveling it up. You can see it's on my back bar, but you can find this in the guild section under Mage's Guild. And it's going to be second ability down, entropy, and then morph it to degeneration. If you do the other morph structured entropy, it does not have the access to major sorcery, so make sure you get this morph right, and that's my access. Now if you wanted to take that off the bar, you could, and then but in that moment you'd be relying on spell damage pots for major sorcery. And I would say on this build, the way I'm fighting, outnumbered and really crazy fights, try potions are a better way to go to increase your health recovery, increase your stamina recovery, and stay in the fight. Another thing too, when we're looking at our max stats, I am running Bewitched Sugar Skulls, and we're running Apprentice for additional spell damage, and we are a Nord, so when you're asking how the heck are your resistances so high, it has to do with that plus our CP. We are down in CP Imperial City right now, but our max stats are nice. Now a Magplar plays differently than a Mag Sorc. Okay, it just does, obviously, you know, and this magic pool on a Mag Sorc would not be enough. All right, Mag Sorcs like to push 30 to 50k max mag. That's just the way they play. But you can get by on this because we have 2700 magic recovery. This is no problem for us at all, trust me. Okay, our max health down here is 31,000. That's good. You know, it puts us outside of that burst down window. It gives us room for counterplay if break free doesn't work the first 7 times. So and then we got stamina, max stamina at 20k. That's really good. 20k max stam on a Magplar is great, especially when we go to our back bar and we're block casting, reapplying our buffs, and then going to work. So it's good stuff. You can see our spell critical is very low. It doesn't matter what bar we're on, it's just low, so you might as well run Malacath's Band on this. Critical resistance, you can see that's at 2900, and that's nice. That crit resistance will get it done. And you can also see that our spell pen, you know, is going to float between 6. We don't do a whole lot from our back bar damage wise, just applying that degeneration, and our shield pop on our back, which we'll get into. A couple changes, let's talk about that real quick. And unbuffed right now, but we are running Toppling Charge. This is our hard CC and our gap closer. You can also use this at point blank range, and that's great. So basically use this every 6 seconds. Even if they're point blank range, use it every 6 seconds to reapply a hard CC and make it a resource issue for them. The reason being is your resistances are very high, your recoveries are very high, and if the fight's going long, they're taking the damage well, then you don't beat them that way. You beat them by making it a resource fight, and some people just aren't good at managing their resources. You can see puncturing sweeps right here, and this is unbuffed right now. Now, some people, I've had people say, LOL, your sweeps only hit for whatever my biting jabs hit for whatever X amount, like double the amount. Well, you cannot compare biting jabs to puncturing sweeps, even though they start as the same ability, they just play differently. And Magicka classes play differently than stamina classes. It's as simple as that. But I can tell you this, you will kill people on this build with 3,400 spell damage and Malacath's band. You will kill people, and we'll get into a couple other reasons why that is, but anyways, it's important to know. We are running Purifying Light, and you can see Purifying Light, basically it's our damage modifier on the target, and then after it expires there's a healing pool where we're fighting at, and so that's good. I like that a lot. And increase, let's see, damage copying them, their damage taken for 6 seconds, releasing 20% of it as additional magic damage to them, and then it gives you a maximum copy damage, so up to 15k, and that can crit. So you can see a critical pop at the end of your rotations on them. We are running Elemental Drain, we already talked about that, and we are running Channeled Acceleration. And Channeled Acceleration is going to give us that movement speed bonus, so if I can preemptively hit this going into a fight, I'm going to be moving at quicker speeds, or at least keeping up with them if they're running a Ring of the Wild Hunt. And the additional crit damage does us no good. Basically, this is just for major expedition access, right? We don't have access to that otherwise, so here it is. So if we go into our kite game, we'll have to hit this, and this does have a 1.3 second channel time. I get that, but the 12 seconds of major expedition is fine, and then if we have to tank down in between, CC them and then reapply this, we can. We are running Crescent Sweep, and the upfront tooltip on it, we're unbuffed right now, but the upfront tooltip is only 8k, okay, and but it's 71 ultimate. That's something to keep into account. And nearby enemies take an additional 3,200 magic damage every 2 seconds, so they're going to get 3 dots of this, so that equates to another 10k damage, okay. So this ability is going to hit just as hard as say Dawnbreaker, a base damage Dawnbreaker. Now at the bottom it says enemies in your path will be hit for 60% more damage, and that's where the real meat and potatoes of this is. When we fully buff up, and say it's 10k, add 10k, add 60% onto 10k, so now we're hitting for 16. So against player character, we're going to hit them for 7, plus there's going to be another 5 damage going out, so it might equate to about 12k damage on a player. Now I have seen this not with Malacath's band, but without Malacath's band, I've seen this crit on people, and it hits them pretty nice. But anyways, Crescent Sweep's what we're running. If you were going to switch this out for anything, maybe switch it out for Meteor, which has a lot higher tooltip, or a lot higher ultimate cost. I mean, the tooltip on it is higher too, but really you're only looking at the initial blast damage from the Meteor, because rarely do you get people to stand in the dot afterwards. If you could get a group of people, if you could CC them and force them to stand in the dot afterwards, that's nice, okay. But so this would be an option, and then another option would be Soul Magic. And if you get to a point, I've done 0 of the quest line, the main camp quest line with her. I've leveled her almost exclusively and solely in Battlegrounds and PvP. She does not go out into the world and do PvE questing, okay. She goes out in the world when my daughters are playing her, and they're light and heavy attacking things to death because they love Wonder Woman. So but we haven't done any of that. But if you are far enough with Soul Magic, Soul Strike would be a nice way to go. It'll have probably a 45k 50k tooltip on it, and against pesky pesky night blades, they can't re-stealth while you're applying it. They can't dodge roll. They better just stand there and hold block, or it'll eat their face. And so this would be a good way to go if you want to apply single target pressure. Right now, I like the way this is. She's set up very AoE. We have single target components. And we have a lot of AoE pressure damage that's considered direct damage. So we have a nice combination here. On the back bar, running Degeneration, we are running Honor the Dead and healing anyone who is below 75% health, restore 18% of the ability's cost every 2 seconds. So this helps with our recoveries as well. Not only are we regen very heavy on this build, but we've got that. This is a new addition to the build. We were initially running Total Dark, I believe. Yeah, Eclipse, and then morph it to Total Dark. However, it was only giving me a little bit of a heal during the moments where we were receiving direct damage, but it wasn't absorbing or denying damage, blocking damage. And so we made the move to Sun Shield and then the Radiant Shield. The reason I went Radiant Shield, you could go Blazing Shield on this, but the tooltip on Radiant Shield actually was higher. The way it worked, you can see I'm going to be applying this. If I'm tanking down, either A, I'm just reapplying my buffs, or B, I'm outnumbered and I need to go to my back bar, hold block, throw out a burst heal, reapply my buffs, whatever. Now the thing about having this on my back bar is the second I switch from my back bar to reapply my buffs, while I'm holding block, I'll hit the shield. It's going to do some damage out to those people, and it's going to be amplified by how many targets there are. And you can see I'm still leveling this because it's a new addition to the build, but this has been working out really great, actually. I'll just be, if I'm fighting outnumbered or fighting mobs, you just switch your back bar, reapply your buffs, and in the process of reapplying your buffs, you do AoE damage to everyone and get a baby shield. And sometimes that little baby shield actually protects me enough to reapply my buffs and get back to my front bar and start going offensive again and get heals coming back in. And so it's actually worked out great. It's been a great addition to the build, and it'll only get stronger. We are running Ritual Retribution, and as I stated before, it does a real minimal amount of damage, AoE damage. The thing I noticed about this is when you're pulling a bunch of trash mobs down here in the sewers, for me, the more trash mobs that are around me, the stronger I am and the harder I am to kill, because I receive from my puncturing sweeps the full heal coming in from those, whereas against player enemy characters the heal is half, damage is half against a player character, so the heals are half, and that's important to know. So in a really sweaty fight where somebody's giving me a run, if I need to pull some mobs, those mobs are going to help sustain me or help keep me up while I'm still putting a AoE damage into the guy that I'm fighting. It doesn't matter that all these mobs additional damage coming in me. We're already tanky as is, but just watch your health just fly up. It'll just fly up, and it's really hard for them to burst you down or kill you when you've got additional mobs that your sweeps are hitting. This is 100% fact. So anyways, this has been nice to actually pull a bunch of mobs. You drop that and the AoE damage, they start coming at you, and that's nice. But the other morph of it is really nice too, and it has a heal over time component of it, and you might want to go with that, and it cleanses more negative effects. So I might make that change. We'll just kind of see here. And then Channeled Focus, still leveling that on our back bar. Armor buff, like we said, also recovery is increased by 240 every 1 second. We talked about that, and then standing in your room. And I'm running Remembrance on my back bar. I might switch this out to, this is more so when I'm running with people and I need to heal them. I'd rather, if this is available, it's fairly low cost at 118 ultimate, right? I would rather use this than just be throwing out Honor the Dead. Boom, boom, boom. You know, at 4,300 magic expense, that's a lot. So if I have one of these available, I'll gladly use my ultimate to save them. Right now, I have this on there. Now, if I'm running solo exclusively, the better way to go is going to be the Sword and Board ult, and Spell Wall would be the option that I would go. Spell Wall is going to reflect all ranged attacks and block for free all melee attacks, direct damage attacks. And so I could hit spell wall and then just go ham. Just go ham. And so that's, to me, just as good as hitting a crescent sweep on somebody. It allows me to free cast on them in that moment and watch what happens to your health when you're blocking for free all incoming damage on a Magplar. Your sweeps are going to fill your life back up, your health back up very quickly. And so that might be the play when I'm running exclusively solo, and when I'm running with people, we'll run Remembrance. Let's look at the CP here. We talked We Are a Nord. Make sure you get all your class passives and everything like that. Your armor passives here, you only need the first 3, even if you're running a 1-piece or 2-piece light armor. If you're running 7 heavy, you don't need these at all. Just go with all that there. And We Are a Nord. We like the rugged passive. It's almost 4k additional resistances, and stalwart passives, ult generation as we take damage. So that works out really well. Champion points. Let's take a look. 64 points into Blessed for an extra 13% healing received. 61 points into Elfborn, and that's not for critical damage done. That's for critical healing. So we do see crit heals coming in, and this is really nice. Elemental Expert gives us an extra 7% to our Flame, Frost, Shock, or Magic damage, and that works out really well. 54 points in Elemental Erosion, Spell Erosion, sorry, for additional spell penetration, 4,100 of it. 61 points in Mastered Arms. Reason being that for doing that is the fact that our puncturing sweeps and our toppling charge are considered direct damage, so might as well buff that. Now, if you wanted to make some changes, you want to come off of this 61 points, you could, and you can move that 61 points over to Elemental Staff Expert. So the thing about this is, if by chance we do get low bottom of the barrel for our magic recovery, and we need to get some Magicka back in the tank, we're using a lightning staff. So you literally just stand there and hold heavy attack, and you're going to refill your magic while still applying pressure to the target, and that's really nice. You could do it from range too. You could disengage from the fight, stand at ranged, channel into the fight, and get magic back in the tank. So lightning destruction staff is the way to go for sure. Nothing here. 61 points into Ironclad, 60 points into Spell Shield, 30 points into Resistant, 15 points into Hardy, 15 points in Elemental Defender, so that way we hit the Bulwark passive. When we are on our sword and board, we got an extra 1,500 recovery, or 1,500 resistances. And just like all my builds, I don't put a lot of points in it to try and get Unchained. I don't care about Unchained. I don't care about getting the extra 4 or 6% damage mitigation by putting heavy into these. I actually want max stats. I want to run 60 points in heavy armor focus for the extra 4,400 physical resistance. You add that extra 4,400 physical resistance on top of the fact I'm a Nord with another 4k resistances. I have 8k additional resistances, more than most people. That's where my resistances come from. And so some people might be like, hey, you know, your damage mitigated is going to be more. You'll mitigate more damage percentage by going heavy into this. But you have to take into the account that you're going to have Major Breach on you. If you have Major Breach on you, you're losing 9k resistances. Okay, I would rather be sitting at 40,000 resistances over cap when Major Breach comes in and it puts me down into the 30,000 resistances. I'd rather sit at 30,000 resistances with Major Breach applied and have 4% damage mitigation than be sitting at 20k resistances, okay, or less after Major Breach, but have 12% damage mitigation, an extra 6% damage mitigation, if that makes sense to you. I tested both of them. I didn't care which way they went, either way, and it just worked out that going heavy into the armor focus and heavy with a little bit here if you're running sword and board, and heavy into Spell Shield, and still getting a little bit of damage mitigation with that, ended up feeling more tanky. And my opponent said, damn, you're tanky. So there you go. 30 points into Warlord. There is a little bit of a point. If you wanted to take a point out of this and put it in Siphoner, you could. So I might have even had that at one point. So anyway, Siphoner, look at that. 56 points into Mooncalf for some additional stamina recovery. This is important after your break freeze, after your dodge rolls, or after your block casting from your back bar. And you're burning stamina, you need to get stamina back in the tank. So if you avoid this because you say, well, I'm a Magplar, I don't need stamina recovery, then that is wrong. You do need stamina recovery to break free and dodge roll, and you need your stamina to fill back up for the event that in 6 seconds are just going to do it again. So don't miss out on this. 64 points into Arcanist for the extra 13%, 32 points into Tenacity. Basically, when we are channeling our light and heavy attacks, or our heavy attacks with the lightning staff, in the moment that I'm channeling a heavy attack with a lightning staff, I need resources in the tank, and this is going to help make that happen by 8%. Extra 27 points into health recovery. This gives us just a little 7% additional. This put us over the 3k health recovery when everything's firing, and so that seems to be nice. And 61 points into tumbling. Tumbling and offsetting our tumbling cost was more beneficial to me. I did tell you that we can block cast from our back bar while we're reapplying our buffs, and you should probably always do that anyways. Block cast when you're in the heat of a fight, so that way you're not taking ridiculous damage while you're reapplying your buffs. Block cast. But that's the only time that we are block casting. Okay, and that's the only time we're holding block. Because if I'm just standing there tanking down and holding block, and just this isn't a Harbinger build, right? They're not gonna, your enemies aren't gonna kill themselves, and so we need to get off of our back bar and off of our block casting and get back into the fight. So that means that tumbling and avoiding damage sometimes altogether is the better play, and so we got points there. So that is that, and let's take a trip really quick. We're going to run to this outfitting station. I had people a long time ago say, man, what outfit are you using? I really need to know. Did I run past it? I don't play AD often. Let's see, where are we? Nope. Okay. What's this? It's down here. Where are we at? Where's the station? There it is, right there. All right, let's jump into this and look at it. So obviously, because we want to show off her hair, we're hiding the helm. The shoulders there, that's the shoulders, okay? And the outfit here, Wood Elf Jack #1. So people would ask, man, where'd you get that Wonder Woman top? It's the Wood Elf Jack #1. And our gloves are going to be the Red Guard Gauntlet #1, okay? That's our Wonder Woman. The belt definitely looks like a Wonder Woman belt for sure. That's a High Elf girdle #4. And then the Mazatoon breeches are going to be the style for her legs. And then Order of the Hour for that. The shield is Apostle Shield. The weapon is Order of the Hour. And then if you want to know what staff it is, High Elf staff #1 looks like a spear. A lot of people can't get past that. They're like, man, Magplar, we're using a Destro staff, but using jabs. Well, just act like you're a Spartan and you got a shield, or you got a spear, and this staff looks like a spear. So there you go. And then this is an adornment. We might be able to look into that here real quick and see. Appearance, hairstyle, no. Personality, no. I think I put that on her in creation. I'm pretty sure that I just created her with that. And anyways, it's going to be down here somewhere, I would imagine. And you might be able to find that, track that down just in adornments, okay? Yeah. So that's Wonder Woman style for those of you that had been asking, and we went through the build. Let's double check we covered everything here. We went through the build, we went through the stats. Can't show you the abilities buffed up. We could run out and kill a mob or whatever, but because of weight entropy, you need to target to get that extra 20% spell damage. But trust me, this build does not lack damage. It does not lack tank. It does not lack resources. It's strong. It's the strongest thing I've tested on Wonder Woman. So God Killer 3.0 Wonder Woman. Here she is. Be safe, everybody.